is the Midday News. The Midday News is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Pad FM in Damongoa, Menuveve FM in Apawu, Castle FM in Cape Coast, Sun City Radio in Keta, also on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga. We are live on X Spaces. We are on Facebook. We are on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrol Sol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrol Sol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duraplus goes, water always flows. Coming up in this edition, Cocoa Board bill holders are this afternoon speaking up about the hardships they face because of unpaid coupons. We'll hear their stories plus the uncertainties about when exactly their funds will be released.
Some people are very organized people. They plan for their future because they want to enjoy the comforts. And so to take their investment and you are not saying anything and everybody is quiet, I think it's morally wrong. And in fact, it's legally unacceptable.
We have details also this afternoon. Minerals Commission says it played no role in the award of controversial gold production sector revenue assurance contract to Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. And a new academic year begins, marking the start of a fresh cycle of accommodation crises on university campuses as first-year students are compelled to turn to private hostels, charging exorbitant prices.
I'm with my uncle at Medina, so yeah, I come from there every time. It's stressful.
We have details of that as the Education Committee's recommendation of interest-free loans to private sector aims to address this challenge. Office of the National Chief Imam is this afternoon welcoming the Seventh-day Adventist Church's push for a change in this year's election date because it falls on a Sabbath day.
No Muslim will sacrifice the Friday prayer. We respect the days that are held sacred by the different religions so that everybody must have the opportunity to be able to cast his vote.
We have details of the ongoing controversy in sports.
Sports Ministry faces criticism over $400 per diem for fans supporting the Black Stars at the AFCON in Ivory Coast.
So for security reasons, it is imperative that we register our SIM cards.
And months after government forced many Ghanaians to link their Ghana card to their SIM cards with a promise to flush out scammers and fraudulent activities, many Ghanaians continue to reel from the menace.
By the moment I just dialed my PIN code, they just took the money.
We have details of that and more here on the Midday News. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I am Emefa. Apawu, please stay on for details. Many thanks for your company. We dig in now, and some cocoa bill holders who decided not to participate in the government of Ghana's cocoa bill exchange program are this afternoon demanding Cocoa Board honest payment of their maturing bills before the close of January. They say the inability of government to pay them their money is affecting their livelihoods. James Ishen of Joy Business visited the Kwam family and came through with this report.
2023, monies paid to investors who purchased cocoa bills on maturity were withdrawn from individual investors' accounts without their consent. Cocoa Board issued the bill to raise funds. Many had bought the bills expecting to be paid back their monies with interest on Thursday, January 19, 2023. Reports from some fund managers indicated the monies were actually paid on Thursday, January 19, 2023, only to be reversed on Friday, January 20, 2023. The banks have pointed to a directive from the Bank of Ghana ordering them to unilaterally roll over the bonds without first seeking the consent of investors. Banks were under pressure from affected customers. Echikwam, a retiree, was one of the affected customers. He expresses shock at the development since the money was rolled over without his consent.
Then we had some hints that something was up. So we wrote to them and said, look, sell our thing and give us back our investment. Okay. And they said they would try. So come the payment time, I saw that the money had to our account in the morning. Before I could say Jack, it had been debited again. So we were rather surprised.
Almost 6 months after, no communication on the payment for those who decided not to tender. Echikwam and wife, amongst others, are worried why government and cocoa board are failing to honor payments of those who failed to tender their cocoa bills after government pegged the participation in the exchange program at 97%, with over 7 billion Ghana cedis bills tendered. According to Gifty Kwam, wife of Echikwam, footing the bills of their ward in the university has been very difficult.
So come July, we're expecting that at least we have suffered enough, our money to be paid us. Only for Cocoa Board to have another press release that we should exchange our cocoa bills for bonds. And we said no, hoping that our money to be paid us. 6 months after that, down the line, and almost 1 year since 20th of January last year, nothing has been paid. Nothing is being said. We go to Tessa Capital almost every now and then, and they have nothing. Some people are very organized people. They plan for their future because they want to enjoy the comforts. And so to take their investment, their lifetime investment, I mean, you are not paying them even the principal. Then pay the interest. You are not giving them interest. Nothing. And you are not saying anything. And everybody is quiet. I think it's morally wrong. And in fact, it's legally unacceptable. You know, I mean, the trauma even to our children who have to even go through all kinds of things and explanations. It's not right because they know their parents and they know we planned for them. You know, so I'm begging the ministry to pay us our money. That's all.
That's the story of the Kwam family, and that's one of many, many stories when it comes to the Cocoa Board bills. Now, Cocoa Board has declined comments on the issue so far. Joy News reached out to them, but they are unable to give us an official statement on this. But my colleague Elton Broby has been digging on the issue. He joins me in studio for more. So what exactly are we learning, Elton?
So, therefore, on this particular matter, they are not responding, but a source at Cocoa Board says they have already launched a debt securities exchange program to restructure debt totaling 7.93 billion Ghana cedis. Now, under the program, Cocoa Board invited holders of its short-term debt securities to voluntarily offer to exchange their cocoa bills for longer-term debt securities with an average lower coupon rate. Holders of the cocoa bills whose offers were accepted by Cocoa Board received 5 new bonds, which will now mature first in 2024, 2025, 26, 27, and then 2028. The new bonds will come at a coupon rate, according to my source, at 13%. Now, according to the successful completion of this aspect of the domestic debt exchange program was very crucial to the country's quest to restore debt sustainability, which is critical component of the IMF program. As per the IMF methodology and as explained by the staff report published on May 17, 2023, cocoa bills are included in the public debt parameter considering the risks and contingent liability on government debt profile. Now, as you may be aware, the Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahinedu, in a letter said the objective of the cocoa bills exchange was to reduce the excessive burden created by the short-term cocoa bills and put Cocoa Board on a path of financial sustainability in line with targets defined by the IMF staff program. So what we are picking it up is that they are hoping that the first maturity will happen in 2024, but it's unclear when exactly. And then they are hoping that by 2028 they would have paid everybody.
Well, that's Elton Brobe's information we are picking up regarding the Cocoa Board bills. But as government restarts construction of stalled projects and meets some of its obligations, some economists are this afternoon warning any budgetary overrun ahead of the 2024 general elections could be dire for the country. Here are Dr. Theo Champong and finance lecturer with the University of Ghana, Professor Godfrey Bokping.
To say no to some of these pressures. The pressures will come, and it will come especially also when you realize that, look, the economy has been in a nosedive for the better part of about, 2 years. Cost of living, inflation, extra taxes, all of that stuff. And suddenly, even major projects have been stalled. Yeah. So there's this pressure now, right, really, for the next 10 or so months to spend. And that pressure is even going to become more exacerbated going into even probably the second and third quarter, of this year. But the way to check that is really some of the amendments that are being proposed under the fund program. And we have to get that to go to Parliament and be done ASAP. Other than that, we'll struggle to be able to contain some of the excesses.
The other bit that we need to be very careful of is the off-balance sheet expenditures that usually happen, that have to be verified after elections, that translate to arrears and the rest of them. Those are the things that we need to keep an eye on. But in terms of the central budgeting and the rest of them, usually with IMF in town, the monitoring is very strong. So we need to keep an eye on that. The other bit also is that usually the last quarter of the election year, when it comes to enforcing revenue measures and the rest of them, we see some level of weaknesses from there, and therefore your projected revenue tend not to yield the result as we had intended. So.
And that's Professor Godfrey Bokping and Theo Champong there. Now let's focus on the controversial gold production sector revenue assurance contract to Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. We're hearing from the Minerals Commission this afternoon. It says it did not play any role in the award of the contract to SML, an offshoot of a timber company, to undertake revenue assurance services in the gold production sector for the government. Chief Executive Martin Kwekweyisi, in response to a right to information request for investigative journalist Manasseh Azuriawene of the Fourth Estate to lead the SML investigation, also said the Commission does not have any report of losses resulting from the deliberate or accidental calculation as far as revenue in the mining sector is concerned. Joy News editor Fred Smith joins me in studio with more from the responses from the Minerals Commission. Fred, let's start with the background to this particular contract.
Well, indeed, Emefa, the SML contract was awarded to the company by the Finance Ministry and the Ghana Revenue Authority and entitles SML to more than $100 million every year for the duration of the contract. The GRA has told us already that the contract is for a 5-year period, renewable for another 5 years, and the contract has since been suspended, as you know, about 2 weeks ago, when President Akufo-Addo issued a statement on that. And that statement announced the appointment of an international audit and accounting firm, KPMG, to audit the contract and submit a report in 2 weeks.
We're yet to hear anything about that particular audit, but what is the Minerals Commission saying in response to the Fourth Estate's inquiry in particular?
Let me start by reminding you about what the Minerals Commission was set up to do. It is the government agency with the primary responsibility of developing and coordinating mineral sector policies and monitoring their implementation. In effect, the regulator of that space. So any such contract must come to its attention somehow. And the Fourth Estate wrote to the Commission wanting to know if they were aware of the contract since it falls under their ambit. And here are the responses from the Minerals Commission to them. The first point, it says, please, we do not have any report of any deliberate or accidental calculation as far as gold revenue is concerned. Then, point 2 says the Minerals Commission did not play any role in the award of the contract, the subject of the story that we're having, because we believe that they should have an idea about it, but they have no information whatsoever. And it asks that the Commission do undertake regular or special audits from time to time as per its mandate to deal with such issues. And we do collaborate with other government or public institutions to do that. As indicated in the first point, it says the Minerals Commission, together with other state agencies or institutions, do carry out audits whilst exercising its regulatory powers. So whilst they collaborate, they still should have some information on what's happening within the sector.
And I'm sure the last point, which is talking about the Petroleum Commission, it says should be in the position to answer that, as the question is specifically referring to the Petroleum Commission, and we'll be grateful if we can reach out to the Chief Executive of the Petroleum Commission
indeed,
to deal with that.
That information was specifically directed to the Petroleum Commission because the aspect of that contract which dealt with the upstream petroleum sector should be responded to by the Petroleum Commission.
Okay, this is an issue we'll definitely follow up on subsequently. Now, let me take you to the northern region region, and the NDC's regional vice chairman has been suspended by the party following deliberations between national and regional executives here in Accra. The regional vice chairman, Alhaji Bewa, was accused by Treasurer Shamima Yakubu after she suffered facial injuries in a physical altercation with him when tensions reached a boiling point during a crucial stakeholder meeting last weekend. Bewa was later arrested and released on bail, but his supporters, angered by the development, locked up the regional party office yesterday in protest. Listen to the communication officer of the Bewa Youth, Mahama Harina.
I'm the communication officer for the World Youth Association located in Chogwe Hilltop. We are here today to express our dissatisfaction to NGC regional executives and the national executive for the mere misunderstanding that occurred between our vice chairman and the treasurer. We have seen series of misunderstandings in the party before, and we've never seen a situation whereby a chairman has been arrested or something. So we don't know why this one. We don't know. And Shamima, for instance, this is not the first time she's been causing problems in the party. Even if you can remember, just last week, a week ago, she caused a problem again that resulted in a fight between Azoka and one of our party people called Tia. I think if we want to continue counting, this will not be the. I think we can count countless the number of times that she has brought problems within the party.
Well, the Functional Executive Committee of the party has been meeting on this matter. We've been joined on the phone by the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. We are grateful for your time. So let's talk about the considerations and the decisions that the party has taken when it comes to your northern regional executives.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Gbande.
Yes.
If you can hear me, I'm asking about the decisions that the party is taking after your functional executive meeting when it comes to your northern regional executives.
Well, so leadership have looked into the issues. We believe that there are still investigations to be done, and other processes, we are told, are concurrently ongoing. But to the extent that it has to do with an assault, and you can see evidences of same, irrespective of what the issues have been. Leadership came to the decision that the said officer, as it is, stand to be suspended or have been suspended for 3 months, pending investigations and all other processes that will enable the party look into the issues properly for a final redress.
Did he admit to assaulting Shamima?
Well, he doesn't have to admit assaulting. Two people were engaged in disagreement. You don't need a medical report to see that the lady in question, who is also a working colleague, was assaulted. And I don't think that the vice chairman would at any point in time disclaim that conduct, except to say that he may have his own justifications as to why he believes that taking that action was prudent. But to the extent that it offends the rules of the party, we have to take that decision to bring sanity and order into the party.
And beyond the 3-month suspension, I'm sure the party is still supporting criminal proceedings or justifying that the law should take its own course. Is
The party
supporting
is not
that?
part of any criminal process.
But you are supporting that, are you?
The party is not against a criminal process either. It has to do with a suspect as we stand and then a complainant. The complainant was the victim. So to the extent that the party have to take a decision on the conduct pending other procedures that the party will activate as much as possible to be able to get into the issues properly. To believe that whatever that the victim will decide to do, the party will not be against it.
Okay.
If only it is an order of law, I don't think that the party is against it. We believe that our regional vice chairman's conduct offends our rules, and so a decision has been taken.
Okay. Well, we know that the youth in the area also locked up the party office yesterday. What's the action that the party is taking regarding that?
Well, we've been looking at that incident, and one of the issues that the youths are raising is that, one, there's the basis and the justification for where the vice chairman and the treasurer have reached. They also feel that the detention of the vice chairman and the action of the police, they think that the police is on the record to have been acting swiftly in NDC matters and very slow in MPP matters. They cite examples of the assault that occurred in Northeast, the vice president's hometown, when the MPP had their primary, their superdelegates congress. The police did not take an action. But in the case of NDC vice chairman, the police quickly arrested him and detained him.
These are issues outside Myremet at this point. That's the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Bandi there. My colleague Martina Bugri has been monitoring proceedings up north and especially at the NDC's party office and joins us on the line. What's the current situation, Martina?
The party office is still locked. I'm with one of the executive, and he says that what they are doing is to update the headquarters on the development in the region. But as we speak now, the party headquarters in the northern region here is locked. Now there's uneasy calm among supporters of the party in the region. They keep talking about the issues and the development. As we speak, when I spoke to most of them, they had no idea that the vice chair had been suspended. So now that it's been made official, we'll be observing the development.
Well, that's my colleague Martina Bugri there reporting from the northern region. We'll stay a while longer on issues relating to politics. And the office of the National Chief Imam has welcomed proposals by the Seventh-day Adventist Church calling for a possible review of the December 7 dates for the general elections because it falls on a Sabbath. The SDA says many of their church members could be disenfranchised because the election date coincides with their Sabbath Saturday dedicated to the worship of God. Additionally, the church is making calls for legislation that will ensure that no election in Ghana henceforth will take place on the day of religious significance. Director for Public Affairs and Religious Liberty for the Church, Dr. Solis Asafo, tells my colleague Blessed Sugan that aside a petition to the Electoral Commission, the National Chief Imam has also been engaged on the matter.
So we proposed in our submission to the EC the first Tuesday or a Tuesday in November or December of 2024. And that's why in our approach, we met with the Chief Imam because our advocacy is that it should not fall on any religious day.
While announcing their position on the matter, the spokesperson of the National Chief Imam says the Muslim community welcomes the suggestion of the SDA Church.
The Holy Quran makes it very, very, very clear that whenever the call to pray is made on Friday, it said that stop any other worldly activity and hasten to the remembrance of God. So it's an injunction for us here within that period. In fact, you cannot sacrifice the prayer in order that you go and cast your vote. Because for us, it's a law in Islam. Our challenge is just at the time of our prayer, no Muslim will sacrifice the Friday prayer in order to go and cast because it is seen as a mundane activity.
Sheikh Karimia, the spokesperson of the National Chief Imam, taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News, live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, made possible by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duraplus goes, water always flows. We've been hearing from Cocoa Board build holders this afternoon, speaking up about the hardships they face because of unpaid coupons. We've been telling their stories, plus the uncertainties about when exactly their funds will be released. We return from the break with sport, and then months after government forced many Ghanaians to link their Ghana card to their SIM cards with a promise to flash out scammers and fraudulent activities, many Ghanaians continue to reel from the menace.
But the moment I just dialed my PIN code, they just took the money.
Go GoTV is stepping up your entertainment from the 15th of January at no extra cost to you. If you are on GoTV Value, upgrade to GoTV Plus to watch GoTV Max. Already on GoTV Plus, upgrade to GoTV Max to enjoy GoTV Super. And if you are on GoTV Max, upgrade to GoTV Super to enjoy the best of the best on GoTV Super Plus. Don't wait. Step up your entertainment today. It's on us. GoTV. Love it. T's and C's apply.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports now.
Thank you very much, Emefa. Now, Sports Ministry has come under intense pressure after they reportedly gave $400 to each Ghanaian football fan in Ivory Coast for supporting the Black Stars. My colleague Muftau Nabila Abdullahi has the rest of the story.
Ghana's contingent began arriving on Saturday to throw their weight behind the Black Stars as they seek to end its 42 years of waiting to win the African Cup of Nations. The Ministry of Youth and Sports on Sunday began to provide financial support to the supporters, the media and government officials who were all brought into the country to support the senior national team in this quest. Some supporters, Joy Sports understand, organized themselves and based themselves into Abidjan for the tournament. However, the Ministry of Youth and Sports was asked to cater for their expenses in the country. Well, we understand that even some journalists who were not accredited but came into Abidjan all needed the Ministry financial support to be able to cope in this city, which I have found to be extremely expensive. Though some of these people, including the supporters, were not in the original list and budget of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the ministry has decided to support some of these supporters and journalists.
Muftau Nabila Abdullah is our reporter in Ivory Coast.
Now, a new academic year started on various university campuses, marking the start of a fresh cycle of accommodation crises as first-year students are compelled to turn to private hostels charging exorbitant fees. My colleague Kenneth JC has more.
New academic year, more accommodation troubles for some students of the University of Ghana. They have been denied entry into the school halls, which is the cheapest source of accommodation on campus. They've been told to look elsewhere. The news team spoke with some of them who have come from far and wide. Listen to them. Where are you coming from?
Northern region, Tamale.
And you came here and still haven't gotten accommodation on campus?
Yes.
So how are you coping? Where do you stay now?
I'm with my uncle at Medina. So yeah, I come from there every time. It's stressful, yes, because they charge a lot with the taxi drivers. It's so stressful, yeah.
Takrade.
You obviously wanted to be in one of the school halls and you didn't get. What were you told?
For me, it's actually my fault. I didn't pay my fees on time, so I didn't get a place in the school.
They said it's full. It's limited. It's randomly picked, so when you didn't apply fast, it's now full, so couldn't get some.
Those that managed to get accommodation at the school hall say it is very expensive due to a recent increment.
I used to know that it was $750 per semester, but now when we got the hall, they were like 1,000 cedi.
Well, that's the situation on the various campuses. Now, government's effort to combat the rising tide of mobile money fraud requiring users to compulsorily link their SIM cards to their Ghana card was hailed as a move to curb fraudulent activities that had become a growing concern in the mobile money sector. But years on, it appears the problem still lingers. Michael Ashali has more.
Rose and Okwe have been victims of cyber fraud.
And when they called me, they said they've sent me some amount of 400 cedis. So I should check by dialing my PIN. But the moment I just dial my PIN code, They just took the money. And later on, I called them to beg them that please, the money was for something important.
From enticing phone calls promising rewards to posing as mobile network agents, the aim of the scammers is simple. Extract your personal information and use them to later impersonate you.
AC numbers, please. What are your AC numbers over there?
What number?
Haven't you received any AC number? Your AC code, please. That is 6 numbers, please. We are verifying it for you.
About it is that there are basic things. Some red flag. One of the red flags is that you've won something. Red flag. Immediately somebody tells you won, it's a red flag. And that one about I have sent you some number. Another red flag.
To cure this, government has since 2022 made it compulsory for every SIM card user to link it to their Ghana card for one major reason.
So for security reasons, it is imperative that we register our SIM cards.
Well, that's the situation with mobile money fraud. You need to stay alert and don't fall victim to that. And Max and Jackie are in the studio. They are woke like something. What's the situation?
On Twitter, Nana Kwambidi is trending again today.
Yeah,
Cheddar is trending again today. And that was because, earlier in the day, he actually posted that we are sorry to announce that my interview with GTV Ghana has been cancelled at the last minute by orders from above. This has brought back memories of the convention, the new force. Now, this has also brought up old tweets and some interviews he did in 2019. In one of the interviews, I think, Jackie, I want us to role play that.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe, Jackie,
All right, so how did you get there as a businessman? And yes, of course, you're determined. You've been ambitious. How was your first business and how did it go?
It was a poultry farm. I was very young. I bought a hen and a cock. And it started laying eggs because I wanted eggs, and it became chickens, and it became a poultry farm. Yeah.
Oh wow! And then what happened?
Here as a businessman, yes, of course, you're determined. You've always been ambitious. What was your first business, and how did it go?
It was a poultry farm. I was very young. I bought a hen and a cock, and started laying eggs because I wanted eggs, and they became chickens, and they became a poultry farm.
And then?
And my mom sold the chickens and eggs to pay my fees and to help me and my other brother to live. So, and I did it not thinking about...
Jackie, some of you on Twitter are saying that you think it's a cock and bull story. But I think it's simply a cock and hen story. If Cheddar was able to make it, you can also make it. All you need is akoko bata and then akoko bema, right?
Yeah. And also selling scraps too.
Okay,
yeah. Okay.
Get out of here. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Living Word with Pastor Mensel Tabil is up next. I am Emefa Apawu. Have a good afternoon.
Electroland Ghana Limited has done it again. It's the up to 70% discount bazaar. A simple cry. From the 27th to the 29th of January, rush to Electroland Spintex branch for amazing deals on your favorite Samsung, Nasco, Media, TCL, and Homeland of up to 70% off. You heard it here, up to 70%. It may be brand new, slightly used, have minor dents and scratches or repaired. We're your first come, first serve. For further inquiries, call 0503 153 739. Terms and conditions apply.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Chani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Imagine this. Your employees spend 1/3 of their lives at work. That's 13,000 days or 110,000 hours dedicated to their jobs. At Old Mutual, we don't just see the numbers, we see the faces and the dreams behind them. With our tailored group life insurance and pension plans, you can provide your employees with employee benefit schemes that gives them peace of mind for their futures and for their families. Make the choice that shows your commitment to your employees today. Call 0509 551 609 or email corporateservices@oldmutual.com.gh. Old Mutual, do great things every day.
Attention aspiring minds and future leaders. Get ready for the University Challenge, a showcase of brilliance and innovation. 10 universities, 10 diverse topics, and a chance to win 1 million Ghana cedis. Each university presents a unique project, pushing the boundaries of creativity and knowledge. This televised competition celebrates intellect, teamwork, and the power to transform ideas into reality. The future of innovation and the chance to witness brilliant young minds showcasing their skills, teamwork, and ability to turn dreams into tangible solutions to solve real-world problems. Stay tuned for more details and get ready to be inspired. For more details, visit newafricafoundation.org or call 0532 383 737.
Bringing hope to many around the globe, transforming lives into legacies. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil. And now, today's word.
Well, today I'm starting a series that I really, I feel very deep affinity to. I was surprised during the year as I went through my sermons. You know, I keep a file of all my sermons, not each one of them, but at least quite a number of them. There are a few that I lost in the very early years, but thank God for computers. So I have a file of every message I preach. So I went through all my messages, and I was surprised during the year as I looked through that I had never done a series on wisdom. I have taught on several aspects of it, but I haven't really taken time to teach on that. That really surprised me. So I decided to do a series on wisdom. And so today I'm starting part 1 of wisdom. Wisdom. I think you're going to love this, and I think it's going to be good. Amen? Now, in this series, I'll be making a lot of references to the wisdom books of the Bible, and the wisdom books of the Bible are primarily the book of Proverbs, the book of Ecclesiastes, and then the Song of Solomon, and sometimes people include the book of Psalms, depending on how you want to interpret it, and the book of Job as well. These are the wisdom books of the Bible. But primarily, when we talk about the wisdom books of the Bible, the anchor, the pivot is the book of Proverbs, which most of us are familiar with. I spent quite a lot of my life reading the book of Proverbs because I felt that if I needed to be wise, I need to read God's wisdom. So what's exactly a proverb? A proverb is normally a very short and a memorable saying, and it has relevance to different situations. The book of Proverbs in the Bible represents the collective wisdom of Israel. The collective wisdom of Israel. As Israel grew as a nation, it began to put together its wisdom. When God called Israel as a nation, he gave them laws. So he'll give them laws like, thou shalt not commit adultery. But he didn't really tell them what would happen if you commit adultery. I mean, what is the effect? Why is it so bad to commit adultery? He just told them, don't do it. But as the nation grew and they lived under the laws of God, they began to observe the effects of adultery. And so they realize, well, when you commit adultery, this happens and that happens and this wrong happens and this is why it happens. So as they lived the law of God, they saw the practical way in which the law of God worked in their lives. And they built their wisdom around the practical application of the word of God. So, for example, when God says, thou shalt not bear false witness, they began to observe that bearing false witness has these effects on society, and this is how it destroys society. And they gathered them in wisdom. And it is wisdom that God validates. It is wisdom that God approves of, and that's why it's in the Bible. And so you see a lot of those things in the book of Proverbs. But the book of Proverbs is not a book of laws, and it's not also the book of promise. It's a book of wisdom. And sometimes the wisdom in the book of Proverbs don't have application in every circumstance. For example, if you read Proverbs chapter 26, don't turn to it, I'm just making reference to it. Proverbs 26 verses 4 and 5. Just listen to these. And it says, do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. And then the next verse says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. So you see that one part of it says, don't answer a fool according to his folly. Next time, answer a fool according to his folly. Is the Bible or is the proverb contradicting itself? No, because circumstances will determine how to answer a fool, whether to answer him or not to answer him. So Proverbs doesn't have rigid application. The book of Proverbs has very wide application to different circumstances and situations in our lives. So we're going to begin our teaching with 3 readings in the book of Proverbs and Psalms. 1 from Proverbs and 2 from Psalms. First is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 19 and 20, and Proverbs chapter Psalm 104, verse 24, and Psalm 19, verse 1 to 3. So I'm going to put them together as we read them, because they are found beginning, or they are the foundations of much of what I will say during this series. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 19 to 20 says, the Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths were broken up, and clouds dropped down the dew. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding he established the heavens. Now, when the Bible uses that word heavens in this context, it's talking about the universe. The universe. Then Psalm 104, verse 24. Psalm 104, verse 24 says, O Lord, how manifold are your works. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your possessions. I want you to note, in wisdom you have made them all. In wisdom you have made them all. The third reading is Psalm 19, verses 1 to 3. Psalm 19, verses 1 to 3. And it says, the heavens declare the glory of God. The firmament shows his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. These are very, very deep and profound verses in the Bible. Very deep and profound because they touch on the core of the significance of life. And there are two statements I want to make derived from these three verses. The first statement is that wisdom is the foundational law of God's universe. Wisdom is the foundational law of God's universe. Wisdom is what God used to create the universe. And wisdom is woven into the universe. So the laws of physics, the laws of nature are manifestations of the wisdom of God. In the universe and the laws that run the universe, whether it is gravity or motion or thermodynamics or whatever laws there are, they are the manifestation of God's wisdom, because God wove the universe through wisdom. So that's very important. Wisdom is the foundational law of God's universe. If you're going to function in God's universe, you have to understand wisdom. The second important statement I want to make is that wisdom is the language of God's universe. It says in Psalm 19 verse 3, day unto day utters speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge. In other words, when you observe the created order from the earth, which we are familiar with, to the planets around us in our solar system, beyond our solar system to our galaxy, and beyond our galaxies to the other galaxies in the universe, each one of them orderly, they are the language of God. It is God speaking. And when you see the way the universe is structured in wisdom, it is a constant voice of God to us. The universe itself is a language of wisdom. Wisdom regulates life in the universe. Wisdom sustains the universe. Wisdom is the instrument by which God guides everything. And I just want to encourage you, when you go home, to read the whole of Proverbs chapter 8. Because Proverbs chapter 8 is significant in telling us about the diversity and the power and the influence of wisdom. It's a very powerful force. It's not just something in your head that helps you to just say that, oh, I like this, or I don't like that. It is a system. It is a law that runs the entire universe. So what should be our attitude to wisdom? Well, Proverbs chapter 4 verse 5 to 9 tells us how we should treat wisdom. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 5 to 9. And it says, get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will keep you. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all your getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she will promote you. She will bring you honor when you embrace her. She will place on your head an ornament of grace. A crown of glory she will deliver to you. Very powerful phrases about wisdom. Now, if you look at this passage, wisdom is described with a feminine description. So wisdom in this passage is presented as a lady, as a woman. And the reason that wisdom is presented as a woman here is to show the desirability of wisdom. And so it is telling us that we should go for wisdom the way a man goes for a woman he loves. So it then uses the whole analogy of a man who loves a woman to show our attitude towards wisdom. And so there are about 5 things that we're supposed to do to wisdom. The first thing is that we must get wisdom. Get it. Get it. That phrase means to passionately pursue it. Wisdom must not be pursued passively. The image here is of a man who has seen the lady of his dreams and goes all out to get her. Usually, in the natural world, it is called the chase. It is called the chase. We say that a man who is going after a woman is chasing after her, not crawling after her. It means there is a certain urgency. If you want to go for a woman, and those of you who are married, who I'm sure you understand this wisdom, go for her. Dream about her. When a man falls in love, you say, Pastor, have you fallen in love? Well, I've been married. And you don't marry, you don't get up one day, the angel Gabriel appears to you and say, Mensa Utabel is joy, 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 joy. Then you go and marry her. No. It starts with attraction. And before you ever speak to the person, your heart begins to beat. And it beats beyond the regular system for the maintenance of health. So your heart is really beating. Now you haven't talked to the woman. So I saw this girl called Joy, and she didn't know I had plans for her. And she didn't know I was thinking about her, but my heart goes to her. I'm thinking about her. I'm dreaming about her. I am planning my move. Now the Bible says that is how you should treat wisdom. That when you hear wisdom or see wisdom anywhere, your heart should beat. Get it. Be passionate about it. You can't see wisdom and be passive and say, well, it's okay, I will get it if I have time. No, your heart beats. You dream about it. You think about it. It occupies your mind. You must have a real passion towards it. That's the first thing the Bible says we should do about wisdom. We must passionately pursue her. And you know, when you really see a lady you like, you make all kinds of excuses to see her. All kinds of excuses. You conveniently position yourself where you know she will pass. That's how the Bible says you should treat wisdom. Conveniently put yourself in a place where wisdom is passing. Second thing the Bible says we should do to wisdom is, it says love her. Love her means care deeply for wisdom. When you have pursued her and you have acquired her, don't lose interest in her. Pay attention, spend time with wisdom, talk about wisdom. If you love wisdom, she will love you back. Love her. Thirdly, Proverbs says, exalt her. Exalt her, give wisdom a high value. Prioritize wisdom. Wisdom must be exalted above money, above material wealth, above power. Exalt her.
Thank you for listening to Living Word. To interact with Pastor Mensa Otabil, Like his page on Facebook. Follow him on Twitter @Mensa Otabil. Email otabil@centralgospel.com or call +233 302 688 000.
A breaker machine crushing tons of cocoa pods within minutes. This could have taken hours and potentially days to finish if it was done manually. The innovative cocoa pod breaker machine was created by Daniel Chumesi and Elizabeth Amwa, who were both trained at the Design and Technology Institute. Both Daniel and Elizabeth hail from cocoa farming communities and understand the challenges with manual crushing of cocoa pods.
Coming from the cocoa farming community, I remember sometimes when our wards harvest their cocoa pods, they need to go from house to house to go and ask other farmers for helping hands. And sometimes when we get to the farm and the pods are too much, a way to motivate the farmers to be able to break a lot of pods is to motivate them with stuff like sardine.
The Joy Business Farm this Wednesday on TV, radio, online and on the ground. The Joy Business Van brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and MTN. What are we doing today?
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
This is Joy 99.7 FM. I would like to have your attention for a funeral announcement. Funeral arrangements for the late Mrs. Evelyn Frederick Aquino, Auntie Frida. Funeral Mass, 19th of January 2024 at 11 a.m. at the Osu Ebenezer Presbyterian Church. Interment at Gethsemane Memorial Gardens, Shiashi. That will be private. Dress code black. Final funeral rites will be at the Accra International Conference Center. Thanksgiving service on Sunday, the 21st of January 2024 at 9:30 a.m. at Osu Ebenezer Presbyterian Church. Dress code black and white. Celebration of life. Refreshment at the Accra International Conference Center. All friends and sympathizers are cordially invited. The funeral arrangements for the late lawyer Rex Abel Bruce, formerly of the Attorney General's Office, GIHOC and State Enterprise Commission Secretariat, who passed on the 30th of December 2023, are as follows. Burial service, Thursday, 18th January 2024, at the Cathedral Church of the Most Holy Trinity, High Street, Accra, from 9:30 a.m. Interment will be private. This will be followed by a reception at the forecourt of the Cathedral Church of the Most Holy Trinity. There will be a Thanksgiving service on Sunday, the 21st of January 2024, at the Cathedral Church of the Most Holy Trinity from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. The late lawyer Rex Abel Bruce was the father of Gustav A. Bruce and Wilma Bruce Apenting. All friends and sympathizers are cordially invited. Ebusia Penning Combination. Ebusia Chame Kumitia of Dabalasi Ekisi No. 1. Ebusia of Supomu Donko. Oba Penyin Atajwa. Oba Penyin Ekieson. Openyin John Okwekubua. Openyin John Kwo. Openyin Jetua. All of Supomu Donko. Honorable Richard Donunate, the head of family of Lomotewe of Lomobiawe. Numo Daniel Donunate, head of Agbenate family, Bozi Adafo. Reverend Father Hilary Agbonosi and the St. Bakita Parish announced the glorious home call of their beloved Florence Ekua Dixon, a.k.a. Ekua Dixon. She was 94. Funeral arrangements are as follows. Saturday, 3rd February 2024 at St. Bakita Catholic Church, Community 20, Lashibi. 7 a.m. there will be the reception of the body. 7:30 a.m. file passed with tributes, and 9 a.m. Holy Mass. Burial will be private. Final funeral rites immediately after Mass at St. Bakita Catholic Church grounds. Thanksgiving service Sunday, 4th February 2024 at St. Bakita Catholic Church, Community 20, Lashibi. Children, Honorable Richard Donunate, former MP for Shamar and Deputy Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources. Mrs. Esther Donuki Akins Nenate, Mr. Henry Tetenate, aka Tets, Mrs. Victoria Quarte, Mrs. Bridges Mamle Ahinkra, Bwedu, Nenate, Mrs. Theresa Tutu, Nenate, Engineer W.P. Albert Viala, Managing Consultant, ESP and Company Limited, and Engineer Adrian Albert Viala. Siblings, Mrs. Elizabeth Okoye, Bernard Morris, Louise Morris, Isabella Morris, Vincent Abuaje, Mrs. Elizabeth Afenide, and Miss Leah Dixon. Saturday, attire black. Sunday, black and white. Wreaths, fresh flowers only. Grandchildren, 21. Great-grandchildren, 21. All friends and sympathizers are cordially invited. Nana Osafo Esiama Sampon, Etene Busia Pening, Abetifi, Nana Mata Ousua, Kwewu Adiemra Hema, Openyin Kwame Fosu, Openyin Kwejo Ado Eja, Nana Kwesi Preko, Head Abetifi Community, Accra and Tema, Oba Penyin Amadonko, Abetifi, Ebusia Pening Kwesi Mante of Abetiase Aprede, Madam Janet Sampon, Madam Paulina Sampon, Madam Esther Ofusua Sampon, Madam Hilda Ansoma Sampon, Reverend Herbert Enim Opong, former clerk of the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Madam Ernestina Santuai Sari, Kwabna Jemfi Sampon, Oforiata Ado, Stephen Owusu Kwache, Ellen Abna Boatema Keteku. The district minister and the entire congregation, Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Kaneshi District, wish to announce the death, burial, and final funeral rites of their dearly beloved Mrs. Catherine Ahinkra Osei Ne Sampon. She was 93. Funeral arrangements are as follows. There will be no wake. Burial and memorial service Friday, 19 January 2024 at Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Kaneshi District, 7:30 a.m. Interment will be private. Thanksgiving service Sunday, 21st January 2024 at 9:30 a.m. at the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Kaneshi District. Attire, Friday, black and white. Sunday, white. Children, Stanley Ahinkra Osei, deceased, Mrs. Sylvia Obobia Bediakon, Mrs. Margaret Techi Micah, Kenneth Ahinkra Osei, Mary Jean Sampoma Osei, deceased, and Richard Ahinkra Osei. Grandchildren, 9. Great-grandchildren, 5. All friends and sympathizers are cordially invited. The family of Mr. Robert Winston Isiedu, a former headmaster of Achimota School and former director of education at the Ghana Education Service, regret to announce the sad event of his death on Wednesday, the 3rd of January 2024. He was 89. The one-week commemoration will take place on Saturday, the 3rd of February 2024 at his residence at New Achimota, Mile 7. Funeral and related arrangements will be announced in due course. End of the announcements.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
On Joy News and on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nathaniel Atto. And you know what happens at this time on a weekday during this period, right? This is AFCON today. And over here, we get together the best possible minds to bring you a proper in-depth analysis of the issues that have been happening at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations. Well, we're 24 hours away from that destiny-defining game that the Black Stars are going to be playing against the Pharaohs of Egypt. But that will be for later. There are other developments in the camp of the Black Stars. There are developments with the fans who have been, meddling in some money issues and are looking forward to doing something to make a statement if something is not done. We'll be getting into that matter, and we'll be going on the grounds to Côte d'Ivoire to have a full feel of what exactly is happening on the ground. There was an earlier report on the Sports Center on Joy 99.7 FM with Fentu Tahiru Fentu earlier today, where there was talk about the Ministry of Youth and Sports handing out monies to some fans and all of that. But another twist to the story. We'll get into that. Now, the heroics of Namibia is a subject that we cannot run away from. And it's because Namibia have given us proof as the first surprise element of this tournament. Were you expecting them to do what they did against Tunisia? Well, we'll be reviewing that. And also, we look at the heroes who now have lost their vibe. I'm talking about the heroes of 1996 in the Bafana Bafana of South Africa. Well, the Bafana Bafana of 1996 definitely is not the Bafana Bafana of 2024. South Africa starting on a jerky note with a loss. We'll be talking about that as well. And coming up, well, the nation that brought Africa great pride to be the most achieved nation at the FIFA World Cup. I'm talking about Morocco. Well, they begin their campaign today, and we'll be getting into how good it could look for them and how challenging it could possibly be as well. All of these and more, plus your thoughts, are here in this 1 hour package here on Joy 99.7 FM, on Joy News and on Joy Prime. Remember, Joy News is on 421 on DSTV and Joy Prime is on 281 on the same channel. A round of messages and the conversations start off with my guests who are already seated here in the studio. My name is Nathaniel Atto. You're welcome to AFCON Today.
Across Africa, a new era has begun, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future. Together. EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7. Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
Staying with us here on AFCON Today, and we're going to get into the conversations in a bit, like I said. But earlier, you know, I mentioned to you that we're going to hinge a bit on the situation with our supporters. Now, there's a bit of history to all of this. Do remember that back in 2014, the issue of supporters and having support from government so they could move in masses to go and support our national teams around the world with tournaments hit a very big snag because of the happenings at the FIFA World Cup. And of course, a whole commission was set up to look into that matter, and one of the resolutions was that government was not to sponsor the attendance of fans to any tournaments that the Black Stars or any other national team was engaged in. Well, years on, I mean, there have been some form of, reviewing and looking at this again, and, because the truth of the matter is that the national teams have to be supported. And sometimes, due to economic situations, these fans and these supporters, these regular fans, are not able to, embark on these trips. So what really is the situation? Well, in the studio with me are, Victor Achutamaklo of Joy Sports, and also Coach Kwejo Ejejima. Now, they'll be looking at this from different perspectives. And of course, these are conversations that always come up. Now, the question many are asking is, why should each fan be given that amount of money? Is it something that was agreed on before the fans and playing there? We'll be getting some more explanation and clarification as well. We'll also be going onto the ground to Cote d'Ivoire, where our man for the tournament, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, has visited these fans who, have their misgivings and their feedback to give, and we'll be bringing us, some reports from in there, and would have a good feel of how the situation is like. All right, so gentlemen, good to have you here. Achu, good to see you.
Good to be back on the show.
Yeah, I like this all-white vibe. We're talking about Achu's sneakers. You have a look at the sneakers, Yeah. You look good, man.
Mischief today.
Yeah. Good to see you guys, though. Yeah. Look, the last time any such thing came up was the Brazil, saga. Now, when 2024, when neighboring Cote d'Ivoire, and something similar is coming up. Fans carrying them there to support the national team, issues of money.
This only goes to establish one thing, that and when I say we, those entrusted with power are very indisciplined and not committed to lay down procedures that they are expected to follow, right? And you referenced the Job and Fair Commission. A white paper was issued on the back of that, which essentially passed it into law, or the equivalent of that, whatever the recommendations were, because the bulk of those were accepted. And in the wisdom of the commission, having interrogated those who sponsored and came up with the idea to send funds to Brazil, the fans themselves, the team, and investigated the influence of that on the team's performances and the value that the country got out of it, came to the realization that there was no verifiable value. And so that exercise, that concept, whatever it was, did not represent value for money. And so they made the recommendation that this should not happen again. But we have seen AFCON 2019, governments flew supporters to Egypt. The tournament in Cameroon, we flew supporters to Cameroon. World Cup in Qatar, we flew supporters there. And when you listen to the commentary that precedes all of these moves, it tells you where these decisions are coming from, and they are made with strong political backing. And so if you do a quick Google search, you'll find people like Samia Wuku, you'll find the Honorable Sechi Mensah and the likes, others from the NDC, Kobna Women and the likes, also referencing why it is important to get supporters to help the nation in such events. But the reality is this: it is simply an exercise in futility.
Okay, we'll come to that. Just before we cross over to Cote d'Ivoire to have a conversation with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, I'd like to say big greetings to all of our friends who are watching us from different parts of the world. So those of you in Asia, in Europe, in different parts of the world, thank you so much. And of course, all of our friends on different parts of the African continent, thank you so much for making this your #1 in terms of the analysis and the discussion of the issues on the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. Mufti, good to see you. I realize it's work in progress as usual.
I'm learning how to speak French once more. I'm still oui.
Oh, no. Je parle pour français. That's the best I can say, but we'll do that later on, yeah? Muftau, you visited the fans a few, just about an hour ago. What's the situation? Bring us up to speed on it.
Well, Nat, it's quite difficult for many people to actually accept and understand what is happening. But it is more of a tradition, and I'm sure you have followed the national teams for a very long time. You are very much aware that anytime the Ministry of Youth and Sports takes people out to go and support the national team, the onus is always on the ministry to cater for them.
Very well.
And it is not different in this time around in the African competitions. In fact, I find it very difficult appreciating the point that the story was rather directed towards the supporters who had claimed that they were going to come back to Ghana because they were not properly taken care of. Government officials who are here have been taken care of by the Ministry of Youth and Sport. Journalists who were flown out here were also taken care of by the Ministry of Youth and Sport. So it is quite selective to direct the story just to the supporters and not even include that the journalists who filed the report actually were also taken care of by the Ministry of Youth and Sport. Because it is something that is always done by the Ministry of Youth and Sport because they have decided that they are taking you out to go and report on the national team for Ghanaians. So the onus is on them to make sure that you are fed and you are accommodated. The point is, the monies that have been given to the supporters, the $100 that has been given to the supporters, is for the entire period that the Black Stars will be here.
So hold on, Muftau. So this is to say that if the Black Stars, for instance, were going to progress all the way to the final, $400 was what each fan had to cater for himself between now and the end of the tournament.
No, so after the group stage, today happened that Ghana qualifies to the next stage of their competition, then I'm sure they will have
another tranche will be given. Okay.
Let me just add something pretty quick. There were some supporters who came here and they didn't come on the ticket of the Ministry of Youth and Sport. And the ministry has decided that even though they did not budget for them to come here, they got a miscellaneous. The supporters have decided they want to come and support the national team. So the ministry says, if you are here in the interest of the national team, the miscellaneous will also be used to cater for you.
Okay.
However, there is no guarantee that if we are giving supporter A $400 or we are giving supporter B $500, you will also get the same amount because there was not a specific budget for you.
Okay.
So that's what has happened. In fact, earlier today, just as you can see Kasim on your shot, they addressed the media where they mentioned clearly that at no point did any supporter threaten to go back to Ghana because they were not properly taken care of. In fact, some of the supporters were sleeping on the floor. And because they were sleeping on the floor, the ministry has decided to take up the cost. One of the things you wonder is the fact that why would someone decide to leave Ghana, come to Abidjan, you know very well that you don't have a place to lay your head. You know very well that you don't have money to take care of yourself, and you are here. And in the end, it goes straight to the doors of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and it creates lots of confusion out there.
Very well.
I can understand the argument of people that why is the ministry bringing people to come and watch the national team, buying match tickets for them, and give them money again? I can understand the argument. We are a country that is lacking so much in terms of sporting infrastructure. So that money that has been directed to government officials who are here, to journalists who are here, supporters who are here, can be used to take care of better things for the development of our football, instead of giving it to people that they have personally brought here to come and support the national team.
Very well. Very well.
Them and buy them tickets again. So
Very well.
I do not disagree with anyone who says that it is one of the things that is not a priority for the Ministry of Youth and Sport, because I think that money, if you have to calculate the number of supporters who are here, and each supporter is given $400, I actually think it's a massive money that can do great things for Ghana.
Very well, very well, very well, Muftau. You hold on there. Let me just get Kwejo's immediate reaction to all of this, and then we'll come to you to tell us what the ministry has resolved to do going forward, especially with the incidence of all of these confusions that we're having with the fans. So we'll come Yes.
Then you will just pick the press conference of the Egypt coach because I'm headed there right now.
Okay, very short. Okay, all right, good. So then let's take that reaction before you go. We'll hold on to Kwejo in a second. So tell us, what's the way forward in this matter?
I didn't get your question clear.
All right, I want you to tell me what the ministry has resolved to do going forward in this matter.
Okay, so what they have decided to do is that the ministry says that the supporters are scattered all over Abidjan. They are moving from one hotel to the other to cater for their needs. And they have decided that each supporter who is in this country, in the interest of the Black Stars, will be taken care of. I do also understand, in fact, I was having a conversation with one of the officials of the Ministry of Youth and Sports who stated categorically that it is important that they represent the interests of every single Ghanaian who is here. And every single Ghanaian who is here, even if you came and you are not on the list or the budgeted group of people that the ministry decided to bring here, they will find a way of catering for you.
All right. Muftau, thank you so much. You catch up to the Egypt coach. We want to hear what he has to say, and we'll be coming back to you later in the evening during the bulletins for more. Thank you so much, Muftau. Have a good one. Have a good one. So, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi there, our tournament correspondent, bringing us up to speed and explaining the true situation on the ground to all of us. Akwejo, we're back here. We're back here.
I know. It's failed policies over the years, and we've got politics also meddling into sports, and that's what comes down to. Clearly, I know after this tournament, there's going to be a whole lot of 360 cycle back into talking point, how much the ministry spent over the supporters that didn't even, weren't accounted for and stuff like that. And we don't need to go through this one phase again. We have to really come to full circle now that, look, the center of everything that we're doing now is football. What's the state of football in Ghana? This is the biggest talking point we should be focusing on. Any other thing else, if we take funds, if we pay for funds, if we decide to pay for fans $5,000 each, for what in the end? We have to look at it this way. What is the state of Ghana football? What is the state of grassroots football? So whatever we do has to be centered on what we are doing in terms of our football-wise. So if football is not excelling in this country, if local league is not excelling, if clubs are failing and struggling to actually pay for normal wages here, come on, man. How much more do you pay for fans? $400 to take them to an AFCON. And so what? And after what happens? The team is even struggling. We know that progressively our football is declining. So the fact of the matter is we're just scratching the surface and we're just teasing our own selves. We need to come back to the basics. Our whole frustration, our argument, our rebuilding, everything should be centered on how to start Ghana football, reboot our football again, because it's not happening.
Well, Kwejo Jima there, and he's here in the studio with Victor Achu Tamaklo. Together, we're bringing you the analysis. We just heard from Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. He says that there are some who traveled on their own. They were not under or not in or on the approved list of the ministry, but then the ministry has extended a hand of goodwill to support them either way. Now, question we're asking ourselves now, and in moving forward, the conversations, a law has been passed as a subject of white paper, conclusions. Now, question is, so do we scrap this? Because I'm imagining a scenario, and this is why I'm asking this question. I remember the day that we sat in the stadium in Fortaleza for the game between Ghana and Germany in Brazil 2014. And I remember it was like out of every two people you saw was German. One out of every two people you saw was German. And you could hear the cheers, the deafening noise that erupted anytime a German player was mentioned ahead of the start of the game. It was massive, And the question you ask yourself is support even needed in the first place? Is it needed? Because then we're saying it is not a priority for us now. So would we have rather we didn't go to the, or the fans didn't have the means, so we shouldn't go to the tournament with fans at all?
We sent supporters to Brazil, didn't we?
We did.
in excess of 1,000.
Yes.
And yet they were not in the stadium. Were they?
Well, some of them were. I mean, Ghana versus Germany, which I referenced, we had the fans there.
Look, at the end of the day, you have to look at the cost to the nation and the benefits as well. I don't think there's enough to begin from doing that. If you look at the
There's
cost,
no benefit at all from having the supporters in your stands?
There is benefit.
The players seeing the Ghana flag and seeing people there?
That should not be understated. I'm just saying that if you compare that to the costs to the nation, it is difficult to justify it. We're talking here about, in this case, $800,000 US. We're not an oil-rich country. And we're not Morocco. I don't even want to extend it to the Gulf countries. We're not Egypt. We're not South Africa. We're not a rich country. In football, we're even poorer. So you want to see our resources used judiciously. But this thing continues because of a certain powerful constituency that makes it possible for this to continue, that actually needs it to continue. Earlier, I gave you some names, and I mentioned certain politicians who will go publicly to say that, irrespective of the government white paper, we cannot say that we will not take supporters. It is because they know they have a certain quota on that list. That quota is a quota they give to their constituency executives, their party supporters, who they want to say thank you to. So when the sports minister presents the budget to cabinet and tells them we want to take 500 supporters, and that list gets approved, 3 days later, the sports minister gets a call from some big party member, sometimes even from the opposition, and says, can you put in 10 of these people for me? Because of the relationship, he's going to say yes, or I'll see what I can do. The next time it's someone from his own party member, from his own party. By the time he realizes the list has bloated to probably 3-4 times. In that situation, you are now looking at people who have been put there by virtue of the political parties that they support. Now, even if you want to limit it to one party, is that even a fair process to members of that party? So if you don't have a relationship with that member of parliament or the constituency executive, you are not getting on that list. It is the country's resources. So if we are not going to, among ourselves, agree that this is a fair criteria for selecting the people, and again, I'm not even saying that I agree with this, because if you're a supporter and you want to go and watch the Black Stars, you have to be able to. We cannot, in good conscience, as a people, criticize the Black Stars and call them mercenaries for demanding what is their due. But when it comes to our duty to the national team, we will decide to say that we need to be paid to support our national team. It is unconscionable. But unfortunately, even those of us in the media are party to this, right? So this is a big industry where when the minister decides that, you know what, for this year, I'm not going to do this, someone gives the information to the supporter group's heads, and then we see one-man supporter on TV. He's calling the minister a small boy. He's saying all sorts of things because the media has given him a platform, and he knows that he has a certain political constituency behind him that will, at the very least, insulate him and try to advance his cause. So what we're dealing with here is a hydra-headed monster that only a few people are prepared to face head-on. Because trust me, if this government goes out of power, the next administration, be it Dr. Bawumia, be it former President Mahama, they will be faced with the same problem. And if this business was not as lucrative as it is, you would not have Ghana Supporters Union, National Supporters Union, Supporters Union of Ghana, and all of these are other groups that...
WOSUGA, Women's Supporters Union of Ghana.
Now we're seeing some of them amalgamate into one body,
yeah.
But there is bread to be made from that business.
We'd better win tomorrow, because then that's the only way this matter will be swept under the carpet, right?
Well, I think so. I just want to go back to one basic, structure. All over the world, supporters union are organized. Supporters are always organized to tournaments. It's nothing new to Ghana, And in the UK, a lot of supporters. There's so many, even football clubs. Average football clubs got massive support unions that they take them to away matches, be Champions League, be Europa, wherever. So Ghana as a national team is no different from that. But the problem here is, if Ghana plays well, naturally there are a lot of people that travel on their own. So there's no justification of none of us saying that we need to organize supporters to take them because the country needs support. I have to take it back to the basics. What is the state of our football once again? If we play well,
it will be a point of attraction.
I was in Wembley. Ghana played England. We were struggling for tickets. I can tell you, people took days off from work. People were rushing from work. Ordinary people, Africans, Ghanaians, everyone wanted to come see Ghana play England. And that was a spectacle, because why? We were playing good football. We had a Samoa Jan who was doing wonders with Sunderland. We had great players in the Premiership, everybody all over in Europe that were playing so good. And you could tell. It goes on and on and on. The story goes on. Ghana played Brazil, stadium full up. It's because Ghana was playing well. The Black Stars were playing well. It's just as simple as that. All these politics that we're talking about, everything that's involved, has to go back to the basics. What is the state of our football? What's the state of Black Stars?
Well,
we're struggling to beat Cape Verde. Why wouldn't we discuss? We should be talking about Cape Verde and looking ahead to the game against Egypt and, you know, the Black Stars blossoming, not even talking about $400. Why? Because we're not playing well.
Interesting stuff there. So this is the situation here in the studio. It's unanimous that there is a problem there, and we need to get back to the basics, make the national team attractive, and people will travel from all over the world. Let's now review the results from last night, because there was a surprise package in there. So we'll quickly take you through again, and after that, we'll take a look at that surprise package that Namibia threw before all of us with that performance that they posted against Tunisia. It was amazing. I was always looking forward to that talking point, and I believe that Namibia provided that talking point for us. Aju?
And look, what we saw yesterday was a clear case of a team that was prepared and provisioned for the game. So you can say everything you want to say about commitment and dedication and passion and being nationalistic and expecting the players, national team players, to reflect those values. They did. But what foundationed all of those was a structure in place that allowed the players to then go out there and give their all, right? Otherwise, it will be chaos. Commitment, passion alone is not enough. You come to the AFCON, you come with a plan. You come with a plan that shows sufficient appreciation of your opponents. And so that Tunisian midfield three of Ramdan, of Skriti, and then Slimani, what do you do? How do you get beyond them? For a Namibian team that is not very expansive, that is not able to dominate possession, how do you get around a team like that who have come to the party with such a structure? But they decided to be very compact, low block, but defend very well and very aggressive. And also, for me, it was a turnaround time. Every time they won possession, the speed with which they had to make the transition. And if you watch the highlights, it appears as though every time they won possession, they had players almost in the right spaces. And so you had Prince, you had the former Ashanti Gold midfielder, Petrus Shitembe there, ready to pounce and then take full advantage of that. And at the end of the day, but for Peter Shalile's wastefulness, they could have won by a far wider margin. He had two clear-cut opportunities that he should have converted, and then he missed them. I mean, this perhaps is going to be the first chance that he himself, and then Dean Hoto combining on that left side. The anticipation here, excellent. Hoto gets the ball, squares it into the path of Shalile, and he should be doing much better here. But you can pardon him. Throughout the qualifiers, he was their top scorer, scored in every game that they played, including the 2 games over Cameroon and the game that they won in South Africa. But you had a very well-drilled team, tactically very sound, very much aware of their limitations, and they took the game to Tunisia, whose coach after the game was left making excuses.
So there it is on our screen now, moments from Tunisia versus Namibia. Namibia providing that very big surprise. And this is one of the moments indeed. Take a look at that. And,
again, Shalulile
it was just by the whisker.
Yeah. Now, what Namibia did very well in this particular game was the fact that they pressed so high and they were quick off their bikes every moment they got the ball. So basically, you watch their tactics, their approach was not to control the game. They didn't care about controlling the game. All they cared about was pressing high. Off the ball, they pressed high. On the ball, they pressed high. So you could tell the strikers, they were moving into the right spaces. In transition, one thing they did so well in transition that they didn't waste too much time on the ball. They always play the ball into space, finding the right man, and then quickly they would pounce on it. However, in the end, they were very clinical.
Clinical indeed, and take a look at this. So there was a goal that was disallowed?
That was
disallowed,
yeah. This one was
slightly offside.
Yeah. This was disallowed.
The key to everything they did for me was how they forced and they took control of the game, right? The possession stats will tell you that Tunisia had in excess of 60%, but it was Namibia who were controlling the game because they determined the action spots. They determined how long Tunisia were going to get the ball in the areas where they could actually hurt them. So for as much as Tunisia saw the ball, they stayed in their shape and they were in control of where the ball went to and the